Hello and welcome back to TVP World. My name is Alex Simlinski and these are World Talks. Severe weather conditions continue to lead to extensive flooding and disruption across Poland and neighboring countries as torrential rains keep pounding the region. The southwestern town of Poland, Nysa, is being inundated with water. The police are helping and the army has also arrived and evacuations are ongoing. The situation there is very serious. The water has flooded many buildings, including the hospital. And thousands of people will be in dire need of help after that water recedes. Joining us now to talk about this more from Nysa is Dominika Chylewska, Head of Communication of Caritas Polska. Good evening and welcome to TVP World.
Good evening.
So now do tell us, what is the situation in Nysa at the moment?
Well, I'm actually around Nissa right now, but we are going to reach this place tomorrow with the very urgent help that is needed there. Some people say that the situation last night was the hardest in Nysa and also in the region, in the southern Poland. However, we do not know what are we going to expect in the next hours and in the next night, what will it bring. I remember a few days ago we were talking if this scenario is really going to happen, and now we for sure know that this happened. Generally, the water is in the whole city. Half of this city is even hard to reach, and the situation is similar in many cities around. There are some places in which you cannot really enter the place. People are being evacuated, and as you already mentioned, in Nysa there is a hospital which was today also flooded with the water. So people are now being displaced from the first floor to the second floor. And some of the people are being evacuated from this hospital. And I'm not really sure what is the situation right now, because this situation changes from minute to a minute. So while we are talking, maybe there is also some news ongoing in there. These floods are really dangerous, and all of the alerts about evacuation are important. So we also try to keep people focused on listening to these people who are telling what to do.
Mm-hmm. So now you've given us a lot of information, and I mean also what you said, that you're heading out there tomorrow, but you really don't know what to expect because this is a very dynamic situation. So I wanted to ask just how dangerous of an element is water, and what can you tell us about the people who had to be evacuated? Did they want to leave their properties and stay there to safeguard what they have?
Well, what we've heard that most of the people, yes, they really wanted to leave their houses. They were willing to cooperate with those people who need help, and they got evacuated. However, there are examples of people that just decided to stay at home. Today, one mother with her daughter, they are both adults, but they decided to stay at home, and there was no opportunity to convince them to leave this home. So this is an example of the situation where it's really hard to convince someone to leave home, but water is really dangerous. And yes, you may see it on the videos and pictures. We really convince anyone to just follow the instructions to keep life secure. We also heard of a person who died in this crisis already, and we really would not like to hear more of these examples. So anyone who leaves their home can get Caritas help. We already are organizing support. First of all, food and water security, because this is one of the most elementary needs. People also have safe place to sleep. So, for example, in 6 areas of Caritas work, we already organized 24 hours a day, so day and night, warm meals. And at this point, I also would like to say that we take care of the most vulnerable groups, for example, people who are homeless, because we, of course, are focused for all of those who lost their houses and all of the things that they had, which is terrible. But there are also people from the vulnerable groups which also have to be remembered. So anyone who needs help can get this help from Caritas.
So now you mentioned support, to which I'm going to get to in a second. Let's now for a second go back to the topic of evacuations. So how can people prepare for an evacuation, and then How, for example, like the example that you mentioned of the mother and her daughter who decided to stay, how do people let emergency services know that they are in need of such an evacuation?
Well, basically, the emergency services are based in those places when the floods are coming. We already know, usually before, where is the water and what time is it going to be at the certain place. So, people from services, and many of them are there. There are crisis departments of the local authorities. There are firemen, police, military. So the mobilization is really high. And all of these services reaching towns and cities are just informing people. We also got a lot of alerts last days by text messages. So people could get prepared for this evacuation. And as far as we know, many of them also decided to leave the cities before the situation happened. And those who are there right now, they are just being visited, let's say, by emergency services, and they help them to get out from the dangerous places. It is very hard to get to some of the cities, so that is why this help is even more important.
That's right. Now, I know you have extensive experience in working with these kind of situations. You were also in Gaza, but now, what about when it comes to working in flooded areas? How does this help look like, and what's the hardest part about, getting that help, making sure that all the help reaches all those who need it?
First of all, we are now in emergency mode. So for now, it is really important then in these places where the water is flooding the cities, this water just has to be taken away with the very special services. We already anyway know that this crisis will last for many, many weeks because for now, we need to take care of people. We need to find a place for them to sleep. They need to get warm food, meals, hygiene products. But in next days, we probably will need, we for sure will need actually dryers and equipment, which will help to make these places possible to live again. And I also want to say that usually crises have their tempo, let's say. So first days and weeks, everybody is very interested in the crisis and very willing to help. But if the crisis lasts for weeks, we are really getting tired. So I think it is very important to remember even now that this is going to last for many, many weeks. And this help is going to be organized differently every day. So watching news, watching social media is very important to know what kind of help is needed. So today I would say water, food, dryers, but maybe next week there will be something else. And this is why we try to keep people informed. And on social media, also on Caritas Poland website, you may find updated information about what to do and how to help.
So now, with everything that you just said, I also wanted to ask, because probably many of our viewers would like to know how to help, and you've just given some examples of how they can do that. But now, how can people make sure that the help they do want to give, for example, if they want to donate money, how to do it so in order to make sure that it really does fall into the hands of those who will, pass that help on, and not, for example, into the hands of scammers, which unfortunately do appear in these types of situations?
Yes. Well, in Caritas, we have a structure which is very safe, and we use this structure for more than 30 years. When money comes to Caritas, I think it's very important to make people informed about what do we do afterwards. So we usually pass this money to the local Caritas, and they are in contact with local people, and they take care to bring this money to people in need. Locally, they know the people, they know the situation, and they can make sure, not from the office in Warsaw, but from those places when the crisis really happens, they can make sure that this money are used, first of all, by them, because they usually buy equipment and they buy whatever is needed, and they make sure that it comes to people in need. And second of all, they may also support those people who will probably in the next week try to renovate their houses or try to organize their life again in these places. So also we try to keep people informed. How do we use those money? For now, 400,000 zloty has already been used for the most important purchases. And we will follow to inform you how do we organize this help.
So now, what about, you mentioned, of course, the rebuilding of houses, of the people whose houses have been destroyed. Just how big of a factor, and how difficult will it be, given the fact that fall is right around the corner and that winter is getting closer?
This fact that the winter is coming very close is crucial, because we already know that the energy stopped working yesterday 4 times a day in one place, for example, and this may not be easy to organize fluent energy and also safe place to live. So that's why I'm saying that our support is not needed only now, but will be very, very much needed in the next weeks, when we may expect snow, when we may expect very low temperature. And in this moment, we really have to make sure that those who lost their houses, that they will have a safe place to sleep, and they will have support which will be needed.
That's right. And my next question is, because you mentioned this, that it's important that people follow social media, for example, in order to, let's say, stay up to date on the situation. Is there anything else that can be done in order to make sure that people don't have this kind of, I suppose, fatigue with the subject? And like you said, given the fact that winter is coming, it's going to be difficult, in order to make sure that they're interested and that they do still want to help out?
I think it's very important that people do not organize help in the way that they want. So sometimes we really have a warm heart and we really want to help others. So we decide, okay, let's collect something, let's send it, let's go there, let's help. But this usually is not efficient. It's much better to wait until organizations that coordinate this help will say what is needed, what kind of support is needed. For now, for example, we may already say that we for now can work with companies that can donate, for example, water or food, or they can donate aggregates and dryers. This kind of help can be used, but for now we really need to do it with the let's say huge numbers. So individual in-kind donations we do not organize for now, but this may change in the next day. So I'd say to all of those who want to help, not to waste their energy for now, and to wait for the very clear instructions what can be done.
So now, what about you, your team, the police, and also the firefighters you've mentioned, the army? How do all the emergency services, how do you guys work in order to make sure that you are safe on the ground?
Well, first of all, crisis communication is very important. So from the beginning of the crisis, local Caritas is in touch with all of the services. And it's also one of the important factors not to disturb to those who try to lead help. So we try to take care of people who are already being evacuated. That is why we are also not in danger. And only those who really know how to organize professionally help and evacuation are doing this now. Our work is afterwards, after people are already evacuated, after those people leave their houses, and then they need support because they lost everything. So you can imagine, if you're a person living in a house and then you have to leave, you are able to take some of the things from your house, but probably it's important that some people are around you, some people will help you, will give you a warm meal, drinkable water, which is also a problem, and will also support you in the next days in this which is needed. It might be clothes, it might be some electrical equipment, whatever might be needed. So we try to make sure that people are safe afterwards. And this is also the situation in which we are usually not put in danger.
All right. Dominika Chylewska, Head of Communications of Caritas, hats off to you and all those emergency services that are out there helping all these people. And thank you for speaking to us here on TVP World tonight.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for this edition of World Talks. But as always, do stay tuned to TVP World for more news, commentary, and updates.